Welcome to Parker's Crossroads. In this battle, I get 4.4 to 1. I lose 2,700 men, get about 12,000. So I built 36 ballast units at 500 men each, and it did absolutely nothing. It did nothing to armory training, army size, nothing. But here are the results here are the changes from before and after Parker's Crossroads. Training was really high, and if training is really high in this battle, it's going to be a tough battle. I've played this where training was very low and it's very easy, but 67 to 72, everyone's going to have 3 stars, and it's going to be tough. Now, I was able to drive down the manpower pool in training, so should be a little easier going into the next battle, but Armory went up, and 55 to 60 is at least Harper's Ferries. So that's going to be interesting for Stones River. This battle is interesting for a bunch of reasons. Because I couldn't find any min or max, the enemy has 15,400 plus 22 guns, and I can bring 10 units. I did think about going in with 1250, kind of ran a little experiment with that. But I've been wanting to max my units out at 1650 for a long time. My best units, my core of my army. So just as an experiment, I just bought veterans and good weapons, and I liked how it looked. It cost $400,000, but it looks great. So I had the money, so I went with it. The +5 was +5 to morale, which the only reason I have reputation that high is there's nothing to buy. So, yeah, I actually outnumbered the enemy, but there was nothing I could do to drive down their numbers. There was no number of, I filled out all the slots I could, and I could not drive down their numbers. Now, I played this at 1,500, and what I found was I took, you see, you get your supply wagon for the core, and then, there are 2 other wagons that you get. And what I did was I bumped my supply wagon to the reinforcements. And here's the thing that's really interesting about this is sometimes the supply wagon and the commander takes up a unit slot. So when I did that, and I played it, and I got 4 to 1, and it was fun, what happened was only 3 units came in and the supply wagon, because the supply wagon counts as a slot. And there's some battles where that happens too, and I think Stones River is one, where it says you can bring 20 units, or whatever it is. Let's say you can bring 20. But you can only really bring 18 because the commander and the supply wagon both count as a unit and take up a unit slot. And when that happens, you don't get 2 units. So in this battle, when I played it, my units were 1,500. When I bumped my supply wagon to come in with the reinforcements, which made sense because I have tons of supply at this location, I got 1 unit. I only got 9 units total, and the 10th unit never showed up. So this is not a hard and fast rule, I think. There's some battles where you bump the supply wagon, or you bring in a supply wagon and an officer. The game tells you can bring 20 units, you can bring 20 units. And then there are other ones where the supply wagon and the officer count as they take up a unit slot, and you only get 18. If you don't know for sure, then I think the best course of action is to, let's say, it says you can bring 20, 20, and 20, 3 units of 20. Bring 3 units of 18, that way you're sure everybody shows up on the battlefield. That's kind of what I do. Stones River is one that I'm pretty sure the officers and supply wagons count as a unit, and so you can bring 2 less with each core than you think you can. So that's not going to be much of a problem for me, because there's no way I'm going to be able to fill out 3 core. So anyway, this battle kicks in, and he has, as you know, a ton of 3-star oversized, well, they're not oversized, they're around 500 each, which is a normal unit, skirmisher units, and they're really good, mainly because they have 3 stars. And what I strongly suspect is his 3-star units are not 100 efficiency. They're fighting like, because 100 is just the top that they're measured. You could have 200 efficiency, although it'd be really hard to get an officer that would have a command line that would allow you to make use of that. But these units are just insanely good, and there's no way I'm going to win any kind of an exchange with these skirmisher units. They fight well too. They melee like they're Spartans. You're going to lose the exchange with these guys. And he has 10-pound parrots, it turns out, and they are very annoying. He can sit in the woods and just chip away at my units. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to protect my core infantry, and I want my infantry unit to be in the buildings and hopefully get good cover, and the detached skirmishers to absorb the losses that I'm going to have to take. And I'm looking for his infantry to come in, and I would like to catch his infantry in the water, if at all possible, where he has no cover. And I have 3 really good units that I want to engage, and I'm actually going to slide a 4th unit over and exchange and really try to hurt him. My units outnumber his. I can detach skirmishers and hit him on the flank, and my infantry can defeat his infantry. So that's my theory. Anyway, look at this. They're only 1,000. I think on normal difficulty, he had less than 10,000. I was facing units of 500 men, and they were 1-star and 2-star units. This is definitely not 15% harder. The enemy has jumped in size from maybe 10,000 to 15,000. And, this is like a 50% jump. But what really makes it tough is all these units are 3 stars. Look at this. All of them are 3 stars. And this is just going to be a tough battle. This is just and it takes place, it's all woods too. So artillery doesn't do well here. Snipers don't do well here. Melee cav is useless in most of this battle. This is just a slugfest in the woods. And so, yeah. So catching him in the water gives me a huge and short-term advantage, but I'm going to be able to hurt these units. Hopefully they'll stand in the water and take a lot of casualties. That's my hope. So I'm having units, and moving in the woods is really slow. But I'm having my units slide to the unit at the north, slide to the left, but try not to get hit in the flank. And we're still going to take casualties. Try to inflict some damage on his skirmisher unit and keep him from hitting my Harper's Ferry unit that's firing at the unit in the water, so that I can just put as many volleys as I can. Okay, his first unit broke. But man, he did not take that many casualties. So let's get the Iron Brigade moved up. And man, everybody is moving pretty slow in the woods. But if I can get the Iron Brigade moved up, great. And here come more of these really annoying skirmishers. So try to keep him busy with my detached skirmishers and keep an infantry unit over there to keep him away from my supply wagons. The good news about McClellan is that he has his 3rd perk, and so he's adding +5 cover to all the units in the radius, and that should be everybody. Everybody should be getting +5 cover. So I don't like the cover of the... I just noticed that the cover of my infantry unit sucks. I need to get him back into the building so he has more cover as soon as I can. So I'm not trying to just buy time until my reinforcements come in. I really want to hurt his units so when my reinforcements come in, I can kill them. I can kill the enemy units. So I'm trying to inflict as much damage on these guys as I can. I have a pretty good army here. I can fight with what I have and do damage to everything that I'm facing. The only thing that is a challenge, I'm not concerned about his infantry, even though it's 3 stars and they're, fighting like they're all the Iron Brigade. I know I can beat them, and the detached skirmishers that are isolated, like this unit in the south, I know I can wipe that guy out, given some time. I have plenty of ammo. I can make use of terrain. I can gang up on him. It's just in the north where he has those 3-star skirmisher units that he can just bleed my units down and inflict a lot of casualties. And I just spent $400,000 beefing those guys up. And, I don't really want to take a ton of casualties. And he could really make this a bloodbath. So his units are now down to 700, and that guy just dropped down to 670. I'd really like to get him down even further. Once you get these guys, but they're not going to rout. I mean, they're going to fight to the death. So, yeah, the circles around all the units, so everybody's getting +5 cover. So, yeah, I'm just making sure everybody's getting their cover bonus. But right now he has 3 units, 4 that could be firing into my 1. I always want to get 3 of my units firing into 1 of his. I don't want 3 of his units firing into 1 of mine. That's no good. So keep pressure on these 2 skirmisher units. One of these guys is really, the guy on the right is really annoying. He just does way too much damage to my army. So things have gone well so far. I want to back up. So I hit fall back for everybody because I want to back up so he charges forward again so I can fight him on better terrain. Yeah, and I also need to make sure that my units are in good cover. So that's slightly better cover. 64. Yeah, that's going to be a losing proposition, I think. So 2 skirmishers fighting his 1. But my skirmishers lose in the exchange too. My detached skirmishers seem to be losing 2-1 against his his skirmisher units. So my detached skirmishers have Harper's Ferries or 1861s, and I don't think he has very good weapons in his skirmisher units, if I remember correctly. But because they're 3 stars and maybe 200 efficiency, they're tearing up my detached skirmishers. They're doing way more damage to me than I do to him. So, and you can see that. You can see he fires a volley and I take like 2-1. But that's all you can do. You just keep chipping away at them. And so what I'm doing now is I want to fall back to a location where all of my units are in good cover and give everybody a chance to rest up. I want him to attack. He will attack and try to take the flag, and I want him to do that. And the flag is in the open. So that's an opportunity for me to do some real damage to his units. So trying to lure him into attacking. And my infantry is going to come in, it's not like right away, but we're getting closer and closer to the time when my infantry comes in. Yeah, when those 4 guys come in, I want them to come in on the enemy's flank and rear. So Yeah, and I want to eliminate, I always do, I want to eliminate everybody on the left side of the map first and then go after everybody on the right side. And I have to go after these guys. I mean, I have to, as tough as these guys are, I have to wipe him out because his force pull is way too high. I have to go into the woods and fight him until, and take every one of them out. So that's going to be bloody because everybody over on the right side has 3 stars too. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Yeah, and I'm delighted that he's charging. That's terrific. And I'm moving a unit behind the line because if my unit in the front does get into melee, I want the unit in the back to fire into the melee. The unit to the right and left will also fire into the melee. Basically, I have to win the melee or the officer's going to die. But the other point is his 3-star units are not going to just rout. You have to really hurt them to get them to rout like he just did. And you're going to see when I melee even his tiny skirmisher units, they don't just fold. I mean, they stand and fight. And if your units get into a prolonged, even fight, your generals are going to die. So, yeah, I can't afford that. When I hit the enemy or get into melee, his unit has to die. And even those, you would think those little skirmisher units would not stand up and fight against full-size infantry units with 2 stars, but they do. So he's charging again, absolutely terrific. And if I have the unit in front fall back, then I'll have 3 units firing into the 1. Or I can have the unit in front charge, and then the 3 units can also fire into the melee. And yeah, that worked out just fine. Now I can have 3 units fire into this guy, the Iron Brigade fall back so everybody gets a straight-on shot. Have the unit on the right kind of move forward, and it can get a shot. Now 3 units firing into 1. So 3 attacks, and I had in each attack 3 units firing into 1. Okay, my reinforcements came in, and I need these guys to get into the battle. Detach a skirmisher for visibility, and there are units on the right side, and I just need to know if they attack out of those woods. Need to have some visibility of that so I can respond to it. Now this is great. He's charging with this detached skirmisher in the open. That's terrific. And he's charging with cav in the open. That's also terrific. I'll happily take that. So I only have 47 cover, but 74 for the other one. So I'm checking my cover, my condition. Yeah. His infantry's been cut down to 500. So when my reinforcements come in, I'm going to have overwhelming superiority against his forces on the left side of the map. They're not going to shatter. They're going to fight, but I'm going to outnumber him significantly with good units, with good weapons, and his units are going to die. So that's what I'm thinking at this point. His units are going to die as soon as my infantry gets into position. He can't stand up to what he's about to get hit with. And my units are in pretty good shape. So, for example, the Iron Brigade, if I put the detached skirmisher back into the Iron Brigade, he'd have 1450 maybe. So, yeah, at this point I haven't taken that many I've taken fewer casualties than I thought I would. My army's in better shape than I thought it would be at this point, because this can be a real bloodbath. And it hasn't been that bad. And now that my army is in very good cover and I'm going to recover condition, his unit that I'm firing at over on the left on the road has no cover, so I can stand there and grind him down to nothing pretty easily. It's his units that are in the woods that are going to, it just takes volley after volley after volley to kill them. But the guy in the woods, yeah, or the guy on the road, he's standing in the open, and a couple volleys like that, he's going to be dead. So detach a skirmisher so I can see what's in the woods right in front of me. And then these 4 units are going to attack. And they need to get into the woods as fast as possible. But yeah, having 4 units come in instead of 3, that's nice. And I bet if I fought this battle 20 times, I have had 3 units, and not 4, but just 3 units, and a supply wagon come in every single battle. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, the 4 units, the reinforcements are going to break those guys, given some time. So I'm just going to wait patiently until they do. The unit that I'm putting, looking at the map on the far right, but the far left of that flank, is there because there are units in the woods across the road, and they tend to counterattack. So that unit is covering the flank of the attack, and anyone who's driven out of this little pocket is going to be driven into the open, and maybe we can get some shots on people as they retreat. But there we go. There's, the guy in the woods. So also, if we're lucky, he'll attack and stand out in the open. That would be nice too. Oh, that's sweet. Let's just, tear up that skirmisher in the open. That's nice. We have a cav unit we can hammer a little bit, drive him down. 3-star cav units. And the unit that is right in the center there, 900, that guy is going to get bled down. My units are bigger and they're very strong. They have good weapons. And I'm happy to just hit him 2 units on 1 for, until he's defeated. And yeah, he can't survive that long term. There's a skirmisher in there with him, so I have 3 units against 2. And what I'm doing is I'm just waiting patiently until those 2 units are driven out. And then the army is going to come in behind his units that are near the victory location. And that's fine. The Iron Brigade is facing a unit that is only 300 and something. And the Iron Brigade should be able to take him out. So he annoyingly just hit my unit with a flank shot. Rather than fall back, I'm going to have the Iron Brigade just attack. Heck with him. So his unit has to turn to face the Iron Brigade. And a couple of volleys from the Iron Brigade followed up by a charge. Yeah. He can't stand up to that very long. So there are 2 detached skirmishers on the right. I want to do something to grind those guys down. The guy on the road finally had enough. No, he's going to stand for a while. Okay. Good. The guys to the north finally had enough. Yeah, the Iron Brigade made the unit turn white, and let's go ahead and charge him. Now that he turned white, he's easily defeatable. The Harper's Ferry unit will fire supporting fire into the melee, and dead. That's how you do it, just like that. The unit turns white, charge them, break them. So, yeah, that worked out great. So it might be that if I fiddle around for 15 minutes, I actually lose the battle. But I'm not too terribly worried about it. The victory location is right there. And these guys in the south, I would really like for them to... His detached skirmisher is down to 170, so I'd like to take one of those out, keep the other guys busy, while the rest of my army annihilates everybody on the left flank, the entire left of the map, including that artillery. So that's kind of the plan. I need McClellan to be close to the front line so my units get +5 cover. Okay, now we have a real advantage. So basically at this point, it's just a matter of creatively wiping the enemy out, detached skirmishers taking shots on his cav. Here he charges with detached skirmisher, and notice how this guy in the woods, and it's a real fight. I'm actually concerned enough about it that I have McClellan come up and give a morale boost to my unit in melee. I don't think I did that much damage to him in the melee. The skirmisher units have some kind of like unfair buff when they're in the woods where they just fight way too well. They should be skirmisher units. They shouldn't be able to fight like that. They should not be able to fight in hand-to-hand combat. They should, by their very nature, when they're in combat, immediately retreat. So they're skirmishers. They're not designed for fighting the enemy toe-to-toe. That's just ridiculous. So, but that guy just did. He fought a 2-star unit with Harper's Ferries that outnumbered him 4-1, and he fought even, and yeah, no harm, no foul. I have a couple units that are going to take shots. Okay, the infantry unit's dead. The 2 detached skirmishers make the artillery unit rout. And then I just need to get everybody that's on the left moved over to the right. I moved the Iron Brigade got him started sometime earlier, moving at normal speed so he didn't get there exhausted. But now I really want to kill these skirmishers. So I'm going to have him run and jump on this skirmisher unit in the open and hopefully kill it. So these 2 detached skirmishers in the south can kill this cav unit, and they will. They'll run him down and kill him. I have 2 infantry unit hitting the detached skirmishers. It should not take 2 full-strength infantry units to kill 1 detached skirmisher of under 300 men. That's ridiculous, but okay. Yeah, his detached skirmishers have inflicted a lot of casualties on my units. So yeah, these 2 detached skirmishers can easily take that artillery out. These 2 detached skirmishers will take the cav out. And now I have everybody pretty much in place when this last infantry unit gets up to begin the attack on the units in the woods. So he charges out of the woods. That's great. Could not be more pleased. And I have plenty of units there to hit him. So that's going to work out real badly for him. Yeah, I can see his unit has shattered. Yeah, he's coming out into the open to make attacks. That's great. Okay, there's no supply wagon or weird units over there, so... Yeah, I can see his cav unit shattered. I can see the shattered unit there, so the 2 skirmishers in the south, detached skirmishers, can now start to get into the woods against the edge of the map. That's great. He's in good cover. He's in not bad cover. So yeah, great. We caught a unit out in the open, and he shattered. So yeah, that's terrific. So yeah, I have 3 infantry and a bunch of detached skirmishers that are now going to come in from the north, and then I have a pretty good force squeezing up south, moving north, and we're just going to tighten the noose. Yeah, we can't just charge in. We can't just charge in and get everybody in melee. But any units that turn white, we can get them in melee. These units all have the melee perk. Every one of these guys is 2 stars, and the second star is a melee perk. So yeah, we can hit anybody who's flashing white. We can do some real damage to him. That unit was too large, I thought, when I went after him. But nope, he was flashing white, and we broke him. So that worked out just fine. Get everybody firing back into the center. His army is not very big now. All my units should have pretty good cover. And what we'll do is we'll keep firing, and when his units turn flashing white, any of my units that have high condition can charge and take him out. And I just had an officer get wounded. That's the only guy that gets wounded. And this is the enemy units don't know how to retreat bug, so he retreats in the wrong direction instead of retreating in a way that makes sense. I really hope one day they fix that, but that's okay. I'll have 2 units run him down and kill him. But that's ridiculous. The unit should never have retreated in that direction. So, yeah, it's just a screwed up thing about the game that the units don't retreat in any way that makes sense. So what happened was the game did a calculation of where my units were and then retreated where there were the fewest number of my units. That's stupid. He should have retreated toward forest. not toward my, not away from his chain of command. So that unit surrendered. It's really important now to keep my general close to the front line, because the closer he is to the front line, the more units will get +5 cover. So units that are exhausted, I'm not going to bother to move them, let them recover. But units that are fresh, they need to actively be fighting. So I'm going to try to stack up the detached skirmishers. I know the enemy, when he retreats, will retreat north along the edge of the map. So I'm trying to get in front of that with units so I don't have to run him down into the corner, the far north corner of the map, which is what pretty much always happens. If you fight this battle, you know that most of the time it ends in the far north corner of the map. So yeah, I'm thinking about getting units over there ahead of time, because if he's able to get out of this pocket, that's where all his units are going to go. Okay, his cav unit was the most likely to make it. He shattered. Don't think the skirmisher unit's going to make it. The guy on the left, I don't have to be in a hurry to kill him. Yeah, he's going to retreat all the way to the edge of the board probably, but I don't have to worry about it. Okay, that guy surrendered. Now these guys can just get kills. Capturing more units isn't going to give me experience. And I'm already past the 1,000 cap. Capturing units doesn't help me anyway. So let these guys just grind out experience. Yeah, I'm real glad he's just going to stand there and fight to the death. That's great. Everybody gets to rack up a few more kills for absolutely no effort. So anybody that has 0 condition can back out of the fighting because they're not very effective, and the fresher units can move in positions to attack. Yeah, I'm going to have the exhausted unit get out of there. And he's in the river. That would be nice to get some shots on him there. So this is all academic, but it's also really pointless. That unit should never have been able to get out of the pocket. So everyone else can move around the flag. There's no reason for them to be in the woods. Turn everybody off, run. No reason for them to run. In case I have to, run this guy. This guy might keep running all the way to the southern edge of the map, and if he does, I'll need units in position to cut him off, I guess. So we'll see. Detached skirmishers are probably the best for this. They're light and fast. Yep, and finally he's dead. So, okay, total losses for me with medicine, 2755. He loses 12,000. We did reduce the force pull, 4.4 to 1. Kill ratio, Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. The battle was under control the entire time. If he has 3-star units, it's just going to be a grind. Those units are going to fight really well and inflict a lot of casualties on your army. There's no way not to take casualties when you fight an army that is all 3 stars and Harper's Ferries. So, and that's what he has. So, well, actually, as we'll see, he has Harper's Ferries and also something else too. The Iron Brigade got 1,500. Nice. That's nice. I did have one unit that took 500 casualties, only got 2 to 1. So that's probably, I'm guessing, one of the units that had to stand toe-to-toe with his skirmisher, one of his skirmisher units. Oh, there's one that 600. Yeah, that sucks. Lost a general. And yeah, you had Harper's Ferries. Geez, hunters in the hands of 3-star units still do a lot of damage. He had Tylers, like he did in the last battle. So I think I expect him to have Harper's Ferries in the next battle because he actually went up in Armory. I don't know where I have 226,000. I don't know exactly where I'm going to put my career perk. Those units look good. I don't think I need to increase the size of those. They're good. I knew they were going to take losses. I knew they were going to bleed down. I don't have to worry about them until the side battle after Stones River. Probably don't have to do much with those. Most of my units can probably take raw recruits that aren't those 10. So, yeah, his armory went up. So, yeah, Harper's Ferries or better in the next battle. Training went down, but not a lot. But I hope that means that it's mostly 2-star units instead of 3-star units. But it's not that much of a drop. So I don't know how his training got so high. I don't know if his training is scaling to the XP that my units have. I don't know. But at least his army is smaller. I have to delete all of my ballast units to see what his army size is going to be. But his army is right now 52,000. I think when I delete my ballast units, he'll come down into the 40s. And I think my army right now is about 40. So I'm not sure how many men I can add to my army before I hit the scaling point. So I'll have to do that off camera and find out. Delete all my ballast units, build up some more units. I think the smart play here is to have 18 units per corps, because I'm pretty sure in Stones River that the commander and the supply unit count as a unit. We can do that. So yeah, take a look at all these ballast units I built. So we're going to delete all of those guys and then create, well, at least 2 corps of 18, and I don't know how many more units I have after that. So, and I don't know if, probably going to put the perk in economy because I have weapons that I have to buy before I go into Stones River. Probably, well, not 100,000, but it's a considerable amount. I don't plan on buying a lot of veterans. So, okay, I'll see you in Stones River. Thanks for watching.